Hey bro, you might just back out. This shit gonna be too easy, bro. I really don't even want to play this.
Hell yeah, this is gonna be a good one. You see, this guy thinks it's gonna be easy because I'm using one of the worst classic teams in the game, but he doesn't know me very well, does he? The entire time I was doing the Play Now Online series, this was one of the most requested squads to get a video. For some reason, people were just desperate to see what I was gonna do with Jason Kidd, and yeah, Jason Kidd. This is one of those squads you gotta be laser focused to win with, and when I heard this guy's banter at the beginning, him basically saying that this game wasn't even worth his time, I had to make sure I was gonna hand him an L. So checking out my roster, the center might as well be a 2K generic, Keith Van Horn has to start absolutely because I need a floor spacer, and Brian mother-flipping Scalabrine is the 7th man in line on my bench. The jokes are cool and all, but what is anybody supposed to do with this team when you only have one useful player on your bench and no real center? But you know what, I was determined to find a way, went ahead and fixed my lineups the way I wanted them, make sure AI and Melo weren't going to get off in the defensive settings, and most of all, I had to make sure I muted the guy because the only reason people use mics in this game is to get you off your game, so I didn't want to hear what he had to say until the end. Cause I knew there was going to be some shock when he was sitting in defeat from the O2 Nets with Jason Kidd and basically nobody else. Well, I guess I should give this roster a little bit of credit because it's not as bad as it looks. Like, let's go ahead and put it this way, it's not the 0-1 Sixers. As you see, I was able to do pretty much everything with Jason Kidd. Was able to get inside, was able to create opportunities. Playing alongside Keith Van Horn was really important because that made him stay honest. And Jason Kidd is just so good at drawing fouls. You get to the rim with him, they have to respect your shot. See, look at this, going around the screens, that was terrible pick and roll defense. And just like that, I've already won a quarter. He thought he was gonna, he thought this was gonna be one of those 1-quarter games where you go up by double digits. You know, when I go into these teams, when I use teams that are underdogs, they only have like one superstar. My philosophy is just to be as focused as possible, to make as little mistakes as possible, because they're magnified. You have to do, as you're going to see at the stat sheet at the end of this game, you basically have to do everything with Jason Kidd. And when he's not on the floor, yeah, I'm not even going to lie, I was making good use of this, that Horns flare play. That Horns flare play, he was just not respecting it with Keith Van Horn, and that's why he went down. It was only 5 points at the half. As the game wore on, I realized that the Nets actually did have some good wings in Kerry Kittles and Keith Van Horn. And although I love Richard Jefferson and I love his athleticism, it just was not that useful to have him in this game because I felt like he was going to pack the paint. The guy isn't a shooter. I already need Kenyon Martin on the floor so I can get rebounds, but he's not that much of a shooter either. So I really needed these guys to step up, and Kerry Kittles was actually, you know, when I did my second game with the Nets, I made sure to make him more of the offense because in this game, as you can see, I was really going to Keith Van Horn as much as possible, and it led to a 10-point game. I cut the mic on to see what he had to say, and he wasn't saying much when I cut it on. He was just mumbling a little bit. A 10-point lead with the New Jersey Nets over the Denver Nuggets. I was really doing a good job keeping Iverson and Melo at bay on offense because let's be real, that's the only way this game could be close. Everything had to go my way, and everything that could go wrong for him had to go wrong. And as you see, I don't think he was playing user defense against Jason Kidd. I was really exploiting that defense with Iverson. And then to extend the lead even further, look who's doing work. Even Scalabrine is getting a piece of Iverson. Man, I was up by about 10 to 12 points for this whole quarter. Melo couldn't get it go at the end. And I've won 3 quarters. I don't believe, I'd have to look back, I don't think he led the entire game. Coming into the full quarter up 10, and this is where things go wrong. That first turnover right there. This is why I say with these teams, especially with Jason Kidd catching a breather on the bench, gotta minimize those mistakes. Open 3-point shooter. Just like that, a 10-point lead becomes 5. Had to get Jason Kidd in. Keith Van Horn missing wide open shots after hitting them the entire night. Carmelo Anthony stepping back, and look at that. I can't really say whether I contested that or not. I might have jumped to the side of him. Tie game just like that. Within 2 minutes, this was a tie game. This is the risk you run when you're playing a team like the Nets. Look at that. Drive and kick to Kittles, and it's blocked. Melo driving on Van Horn, that foot speed gets him to the free throw line. All of a sudden, he's leading. And that's why when you play with these teams, the Sixers of the world with only Iverson and the Nets, You've got to build a gigantic lead to begin with. Look at this. No one can get a rebound. Nobody is in position for a rebound. Melo is left wide open and he's on fire. No chance that wasn't going to go in. 5-point game. This one's over. I have no chance to come back, or do I? Kenyon Martin could have easily ruined that play by being in the corner, but I got lucky and he was asleep on defense. 3-point game. Coming back with Jason Kidd again, same play. Now he's open. He never respected Keith Van Horn one time this whole game. I had no reason to do anything different, so now it's a 1-point game. And this is so difficult when you have Smith, Melo, and Iverson on the floor, especially when you have nobody to guard Melo, because Keith Van Horn does not have the foot speed, but the double team worked. He wasn't paying attention, his head was down. And we reclaimed the lead. The last minute of this game was basically back and forth, but look at this play. I'm making him run the clock down. He has a shot clock here. He misses with Camby. Of course he gets the rebound. He has no shot clock, but he's still playing offense. Look at this. Why is he still playing offense? He's getting all the rebounds. All he has to do is hold it, but he shot it. He left the door cracked. I'm down by 1. All he had to do was run around with Melo, and he wins the game. That's it. Colossal mistake on his part. So I'm looking at what the Nets are going to run. I'm trying to get my best shooter open, getting Van Horn open. He's not going to let it happen. But he left Kidd wide open, and he fouled him. He had to foul him. That shot was going in, and he knew it. 9/10 of a second left. Kidd at the free throw line. I only need 2 free throws, and I win this game. And you know, after all that stuff he talked at the beginning, you know I'm not going to lose. I got to unmute him and hear what he's got to say. And there wasn't much he could say. He knew he messed up. There was nothing for him to say. Greenlit it. Look at that. 100%. But check this out. I'm not focused. I am so pumped right now because I just pulled off an improbable comeback, a win with the Nets. I'm not focused at all. And I made the 3rd free throw. Why did I make the 3rd free throw? This game was played 5 months ago. And I was so hyped because everything he said at the beginning, the way this game went, I was holding Melo and Iverson. I was really holding them in check. But he's got to convert here, and he does. He only takes 4/10 off the clock, and I'm panicking now. I'm trying to get Kidd close to the basket, and then I mess up. Look at all these mistakes at the end of this game. Mistake after mistake. Mistake from me, mistake from him, and he still has 5/10 to work with. Now here's where things get weird. Look at this. He runs Kenyon Martin in, and what happened? I don't know what happened right there. He threw Kenyon the alley, and he missed it, but then the ball falls in, and they counted it because look at this, end of regulation, 54-52, but the commentators are still going to overtime. They're talking about going to overtime. The game did not end, and when the screen returns, it says 54-52, and it's the start of OT. I've never seen anything like that in 2K. This is the weirdest game of 2K I've ever played in my life. From the mistakes we all made to that ending right there with Kenyon Martin. I don't know if that was some kind of interference or what. But in any case, I felt like he won. I didn't feel good about it anymore because I was like, even if I win this game, 2K just kind of glitched. So, of course, he pulls out overtime. I really had no chance with the Nets in an overtime game against the Nuggets. This game had to go 4 quarters. There was not enough scoring to go around. But was that not the weirdest thing you've ever seen in your life in a game of 2K? Both of us made ridiculous mistakes, from him still trying to look for shots even though there was no shot clock and he was leading, to me making my 3rd free throw. You know, when this game was happening and when I played it, like I said, I was so pumped that I forgot I did not need to make it. I would have won the game if I just clinked it. Maybe he would have got a rebound, but there would have been like maybe 2/10 of a second left on the clock. And then the Kenyon Martin alley. Again, I don't know what to think about this one because he missed it and then it just rolled in as he was hanging on the rim. I'm not even sure if that's legal or not, but 2K counted it. So maybe this is the only time this has happened in history, but we went into overtime with an official score that wasn't tied. I've never seen that happen in any 2K game. It's never happened to me. Leave in the comments if that's ever happened to you because that is just so weird and it really ruined the vibe of the game. I still wanted to beat him in overtime just because of all, you know, everything he said at the beginning. But there's no denying that it made the game extremely weird once we got to the end, and it's like, alright, we know he probably won, or the game says he won, or maybe it was an interference, I don't know. And then checking out the score box, I did everything I could. Like, I squeezed every little bit of juice out of this Nets roster that I could. I had 25 points with Jason Kidd. It was very efficient, 8 for 13, 2 3-pointers out of 4, made all my free throws. He was a master at getting to the line. Keith Van Horn was Yeah, he was actually not that great now. I see he was 5 of 15 and all of his shots were 3-pointers, so all 15 points were threes because there was nothing else to do with Van Horn. Maybe I would have won this game if I made more use of Kittles, because Kittles only had 9 and I did realize that he definitely had a reliable shot and he probably could have got to the rim more too. And in the end, it came down to he started making shots and I started missing them. Carmelo ended up with 35 points. Marcus Camby, he gave his team so many second chance points. All these rebounds he had, 10 of them. But as you can see, Iverson only had 2 points. He was 1 of 5, so he was on lockdown the whole night. And even Melo was 10 of 22, so it was some timely scoring for him. Anyways, that is definitely the worst loss I've ever taken in 2K history. By far the worst loss because it was a game that I should have won. Especially with all the trash talk at the beginning. I just had a golden chance to put this in the 2K Hall of Fame. But in the end, I took the worst loss in 2K history in the weirdest game in 2K history.
And regulation now complete. We will go to overtime. Don't go anywhere, folks.